All right, one last look at your traffic and weather for your ride in on this Wednesday morning. Couple accidents to report, one at Two Notch Road and I-77, another one at Rimmer Pond Road and Wilson Boulevard, I-20 eastbound at Spears Creek Church Road, and then one last one at Emmanuel Church Road and Old Barnwell. Today, cloudy, high is going to get up to 75. Tomorrow for Thanksgiving, it does drop pretty significantly, high of 59 with breezy and cool conditions. And then Friday, really cold, high of 51 with sunshine. Currently 65 degrees here in downtown Columbia. On the Game. Nine o'clock on your Wednesday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. It's our head and Jack Beltry along with you here. I guess, Jack, I should say this is Thanksgiving Eve, not Wednesday morning. When you get into the holiday season, days of the week become very skewed, right? There's that weird gap between Christmas and New Year's where you don't refer to it by Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. It's like the 26th, 27th, 28th. And this week's kind of the same way. It's like, well, it's Wednesday, but it's kind of like a Friday. But then if you have to work again on Friday, you have another Friday. Weird vibes, but it's my favorite week of the entire year.
It's definitely has that Wednesday feel, and then Thanksgiving's tomorrow, and that's always on Thursday. You're right about the end of the year, though, when it is the 26th, 28th. I remember being at the bowl game last year in Orlando, and I couldn't even tell you what day it was. Just all the days kind of just came together. The bowl game itself in Carolina played Illinois was on a Tuesday, and that's a Saturday. So my days were all messed up around that time last year, but I think we're good for this week.
Yeah, definitely excited for Thanksgiving tomorrow. We'll talk about that throughout the show. We will be back in here on Friday, so programming note if you haven't heard, I'm going to be gone all day tomorrow. I believe we should have NFL action for a lot of the day tomorrow here on the game. Women's basketball will also play coming up tomorrow night as well at either 8 or 10:30 out there at the Players Era Championship in Vegas. By the way, they'll play Duke today at 4 or 4:30, pregame at 4 today right here on the game as well. We're going to get coordinators today too, right? That's still normal Wednesday stuff?
Yep, we're getting all the coordinators today, Mike Furry included. So it's a little bit earlier today instead of the normal, 20 minutes earlier. So Furry will go at 12, Clayton White will go at 12:15, and then Jody will go at 12:30.
Yeah, so I don't really think I know Beamer did Carolina calls last night. That was different, obviously. But I think the normal operations and stuff for the team are pretty much the same. I'm sure they'll have some kind of team Thanksgiving meal tomorrow, but I don't think anything really changes from a normal game week for them.
No, it'll be pretty standard for them, I would imagine. I don't know what Shane said last night on Carolina calls in terms of that, but yeah, I'm sure it'll be the normal, hey, some of the guys will go to the coaches' houses and stuff.
Right.
Some guys will go home, but yeah, so it'll be pretty standard.
We'll talk plenty about that as well as some Thanksgiving stuff as the show goes along. But first, as always, we must kick things off with our Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up.
Time to get hyped. Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm, sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick-Me-Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803-ALL-9s. And, Jack, we got to start off today with some news in reference to Shane Beamer's future here at South Carolina. If you want to call it news, our guy Jordan Kay over the state newspaper did get confirmation yesterday from athletic director Jeremiah Donati that Shane Beamer is indeed going to be returning for 2026, no matter what happens this weekend. A 70-point win, a 70-point blowout loss, no matter what, Coach Beamer is your coach in 2026, which we knew, but it just kind of gives you extra confirmation when the athletic director formally says, yes, he's coming back.
It just made all the sense in the world to bring him back. Like, look, you didn't lose to Coastal Carolina, so we don't need to have that discussion about the possibility of going 3-9. But I think for South Carolina, this is the right move. You look at the coaching carousel going on right now, where some coaches are getting hired right now, but that also means more and more jobs are going to be opening.
Yep.
And it's just going to be absolute pandemonium over the next few weeks. And if you're South Carolina, I don't think you can necessarily just say, "Hey, let's fire Beamer. We're gonna jump right into that mess and that chaos that's out there." And I don't think you can get the best guy that you probably want out there right now. Plus, you also have to deal with the looming fact that there is a pretty significant buyout to deal with. So I think you trust Shane here to get this thing right. I think you give him the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see what happens next year, right? I think he deserves the chance to go out here and make the right OC hire, make the OL hire, and then go out here next year, put together a pretty good roster, and hopefully there will be a turnaround.
I do think it is significant, though, to realize when your athletic director has to confirm that your coach is coming back the next year, that shows you where things are as of right now, and I think gives further confirmation to the fact that next year is truly going to be a make or break season for Shane Beamer to get things back on the right track. And Terry and I were talking about this a little bit earlier. I'm sure at some point in the next couple of weeks, we'll get maybe some additional statement that, hey, we're committed to giving them the resources and all this kind of stuff to make sure we can be as successful as possible. The usual kind of stuff we get when it comes to the vote of confidence from an athletic director to the coach, where, again, you better get it right. You better get this OC hire right. Better nail things in the transfer portal, because if we're in the same situation going into the Clemson game next year at 4-11, well, then your job, if you haven't already lost your job by then, it's going to be on the line.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be I would say next year's probably a make or break season for South Carolina under Beamer. Like next year will be his 6th season at South Carolina. Now, the good news, I guess, if there is good news out of this, Tyler, is that the trend has typically been there's been a good year, then a bad year, then a good year, then a bad year, and now we're in a bad year here after a good year. So could next year be a good year because of that? See, that's the thing with Beamer, though. You got to find some level of consistency, right? You can't be having this flip-flop of being good or bad. It's got to be one or the other every single year. And you hope for Shane it does become good next year. But then after that, you got to go out there and prove in 2027, way down the road, that you have to get this thing right again and turn yourself into a consistent winner, whether that's winning 7, 8 games in a row. As long as you continue to have a winning record year after year and you're getting within playoff range, I feel like that's a good season for South Carolina.
And that's a really good point, because at South Carolina, the standard, at least right now, is not, hey, we need you to be in the final 4 teams every single year and win a national championship once every 5 years. You'd love to be there, but you're not there at this point in time. It is be consistently winning. And look, if instead of 5-7 in 2023, they went 7-5, and if we were tracking to be the same way this season, even without a win this upcoming weekend, if you were already 7-5. Or if you're already 7-4 at this point in time and potential to go to 8 wins, we're not having this conversation because that's still winning seasons. Yes, it is a little bit of a step back from a season ago, but realistically, I thought this team was probably going to be about 8-4 when the season began. And given all the talent that they've lost, and they're obviously in danger of being the complete 180 of that at 4-8 if they lose this weekend. But if you can consistently win, consistently go to bowl games, and then have that year, maybe every 2 or 3 years, where you're popping in there into the college football playoff or being on that line, that's fine. But unfortunately, again, the down years have been really down. The up years have been really up. But next year needs to be a significant step in the right direction to keep this ball rolling.
And I think some of it has to do with just whether it's the talent evaluation or the coaching hires that just haven't worked out. I mean, let's be honest. How much of this year kind of falls on Beamer hiring Mike Shula? I get it. It was the right hire at the time, but it just didn't work out. And maybe a move could have been made quicker on Shula. Maybe he should have been fired after the LSU game, because who knows? Maybe you could have saved the season and gotten to a bowl game at this point right now. But that's not going to be the case, and you're staring at the barrel of either a 5-7 season or a 4-8 campaign. You want to get this win to go into the offseason with some momentum, but make no mistake, regardless of what happens this weekend, this season has been, I think you can define it as a failure in some ways just because they had expectations that were much higher than this, and they failed to failed to meet them.
Well, and that's where Clemson and South Carolina fans can look across the aisle at each other and point fingers and say, hey, we're kind of in the same boat here. It's like the Spider-Man pointing meme, where both teams look at this season as a failure given what the expectations coming into the season were. I know your deadline for staff picks is coming up here in about an hour. Hopefully everybody's been submitted them. I can guess like Terry and Yuva and all of them have probably not submitted theirs.
There's like 4 people who have put in their staff picks so far. So thank you for reminding me, because I'm going to have to send her a reminder.
I was going to say, I know that group text is going to be coming here in a couple minutes for those that haven't submitted. For the few that have come in, what's the vibe? What's the feel in this game so far?
Yeah, it does seem like it's kind of like a little, it's too early to really tell just because I've only seen a few picks, but it has been South Carolina for the most part. I won't say who has picked who, but there has been a pick, though, for Clemson to win this game. So, I think the consensus is that South Carolina is going to win this game this weekend. My thought on it is, and this is probably how I'll look at the game this weekend, is, okay, South Carolina has to play their best brand of football. If they play like they're supposed to, they're going to win this game. If they play like the team that they've been for the better part of the season, where the offense doesn't show up and your defense is giving up some points and you're not finishing in the fourth quarter, then you're going to lose this game. But if you're playing like the team that's been out there for the last 6 of the 8 last quarters against A&M and Coastal, you've got a real good chance to win this game, and I think win convincingly too.
We'll give our score predictions on Friday, as we always do, ahead of the game, and my score kind of reflects this. I'm expecting a weird game. Like, my score's a little funky. I don't know how we're going to get there, but I just expect this. With where both these programs are, really a nothing-to-lose mindset for either side. I get it. Clemson's going to a bowl game, and winning this game this weekend could possibly improve their bowl destination. But, again, neither program is where they thought they were going to be heading into this game. I feel like we could see a lot of chaos and a lot of weird things on Saturday to wrap up the season for South Carolina. So I'm expecting a little bit of a wonky, weird kind of rivalry game at this point.
I can too, honestly. I think there's going to be some wackiness in this game. I think we're going to see South Carolina really, they got nothing to lose at this point, so you might as well throw the entire kitchen sink out there. And I think what I mean by that is just continue just to get crazy, like run some plays that maybe you normally wouldn't run. But in this case, you're not going to a bowl game, so finish out strong, try to win this game, and take that momentum into the offseason.
Yeah, again, as we've kind of talked about, winning this game this weekend doesn't change what this season's been. Again, and this goes for both sides, it's been a failure based on your expectations coming in, but for at least in the moment, you can feel good about it. And I do want to get to this later on in the hour. For those listening, text us at the Firehouse Subs text line at 803-404-6100. How many Clemson fans do you deal with on a daily basis at work, at school, or at church, whatever it may be? Because I think that does have a effect on how you view this game every single year by how many you have to interact with on a day-to-day or weekly basis in your life. So let us know your answer on that, 803-404-6100. We'll get deeper into the coaching dynamic of this matchup. Coach Beamer yesterday talked about where these teams are heading in this matchup compared to last year, and we'll discuss Coach Beamer as well as Dabo. Coming up next, it is The Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri with you on your Thanksgiving Eve Wednesday here on The Game. All right, welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Ed and Jack Belcher along with you here on your Thanksgiving Eve Wednesday, getting you set for South Carolina and Clemson coming up Saturday. Kickoff at noon. Pregame coverage starts bright and early on Saturday morning with Gamecocks Game Day. Myself and Terry Ford live at Jay's Corner at the corner of Rosewood and Bluff to wrap up the season. And as we've talked about plenty this week already, neither program is happy with where they're at heading into this matchup, and that's something that Coach Beamer talked about early in his presser yesterday.
And it's not lost on me that, neither team is where they want to be right now. At the beginning of the season, I think both teams and most people on the outside expected this game to be played this weekend with playoff implications, just like it was last year. And I'm 100% convinced that this year is a little bit of an outlier and a bump in the road, but that next season and then every year from here on out, this game will be played in November on Thanksgiving weekend with playoff implications. It didn't happen this year, and I know both teams feel like they're extremely close to where they want to get back to and where we were last year at this time, where this game we were going into it and we thought the winner was going to be in the college football playoff. And this season, that's not what the implications of this game are. Still really, really meaningful and still really, really, really special. And it didn't happen this year, but we're not going anywhere. We're only going to continue to get better as a program. And I know Dabo feels the same way. They're not going anywhere. They've recruited well, I'm sure, and got good young players in their program, and they're not going anywhere. So this rivalry is going to be back here pretty quickly to being played Thanksgiving weekend with national implications like it was last year. And there may not be national implications this year, but there's a whole lot of South Carolina implications for both teams, and we're excited to go compete.
So for the second week in a row, Beamer making a very bold proclamation on Tuesday of where exactly things are going to stand this time in 2026. Last week, he said we're going to be watching, I guess that at the time, the third playoff ranking reveal show in the mix and in the conversation for the college football playoff. And he said next year, this once again is going to be a game featuring two teams in the college football playoff confirmation. So I'll set the reminders of, okay, we'll revisit this in a year and see how that ages. But when you look at, I got BetMGM's preseason national championship odds, not just playoff odds, national championship winning odds pulled up. Clemson was tied for fifth with the fifth best odds to win the national championship. South Carolina was tied for 15th. One program in Clemson already has 6 wins, is going to a bowl game. We'll see which one they end up in, but not one of the high-profile ones. And South Carolina knows their season's ending on Saturday. So, yes, a drastic difference where we thought both these programs are going to be, which, again, I go back to failure of a season on both fronts.
Yeah, and I think that's why, I hate to say it, but I think that's also why you can't take a ton of stock into preseason rankings, because let's face it, a lot of it is based off of what these programs did last season, right? We just had no idea what these teams were going to look like going into the season. We could think that